Welcome back, everyone, to episode 17 of the Minot Business Podcast, presented by Bennett Creative Media. I am your host, Easton Bennett, and we've got a very exciting guest today, owner of Sports on Tap, Tony Mueller. Tony, it's good to have you.
Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
So we're going to get right into it like we always do. For the people that have never heard of you, they don't know who Tony is, what you do. What's your elevator pitch? What do you do?
I own and operate, alongside my family, Planet Pizza and Sports on Tap.
Oh, I honestly don't even know if I knew about the Planet Pizza part. So
Yeah,
you got that whole complex there.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Look at
complex.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to pivot some of my questions to dive that in there, too.
I'll probably have to pivot some of my answers. You can't really tell the story of Sports on Tap without talking about Planet Pizza.
Perfect. So just to get started, how did you get into, the bar industry? Was there a route that you went into the bar industry first, or was it kind of random business that you went into first, or was it family induced? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it's family. I really didn't have any other better options.
Okay.
So again, you can't really talk about sports without talking about Planet.
Yep.
My dad started Planet Pizza in 1996.
Okay.
And he was just like a normal dude, worked at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
He was, I think by the time he was let go, he was area supervisor of the 3 Sun Marts. I think they were Sun Marts at that time.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. And he got let go. And then him and a couple local business people or local buddies, or I don't even know, what their affiliation was.
Yep.
They started Planet Pizza in 1996. And then we were up in what used to be the Udder place.
Okay, yeah.
Which is now, I think it's like a Family Dollar.
Yeah.
Town
and Country,
Yep. That's
that
what
strip
Planet
mall
Pizza
there?
used to be.
Okay.
It amazes me some people don't even know that because of their age and whatever else.
I think I'm learning that right now.
Yeah. So that's where Planet Pizza was.
Okay.
Way back in 1996, I think until about 2001, 2002. And then another group of investors alongside my dad purchased where we're at now, which is the old Sweetheart Bakery.
Yep. Okay.
And then in August of 2004, they opened up Sports on Tap.
Okay.
Another separate group of investors alongside my dad, kind of leading the charge.
So why a pizza place to start?
I think they just saw a need.
Okay.
It's hard to imagine Minot without Planet Pizza in it. It's kind of like we make jokes.
I don't know without it.
Yeah, we make jokes like lots of people have worked there. It's a lot of people's first jobs. You had, we want to do a post in a couple years for our 25th anniversary. Like, please send in your old birthday party pics and stuff like that to kind of get a little bit of nostalgia going. But it's kind of an institution in a way. And I think, they were looking around like, my dad got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
He had about 3 kids, 2 of which were like approaching the high school age or junior high age. And like, what can we do? What are we going to do? I don't want to work for somebody. I don't want to get, laid off after I put 20 years in for a company again. And yeah, I don't know exactly why, but they went to South Dakota. They went to parts of Minnesota. They went all over North Dakota, and they came back with the pizza idea.
So they did research it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. For sure.
So have you always been business minded then? Did you go to school for business? How did you kind of get into the business world?
Lack of other options, like I said. So basically my involvement, or how I got involved in it. And, I think lots of people, have an idea about both sports and Planet, about what they are, if they're chains, if they're not, if they're, whatever it is. I basically, my adult life, since I was about 21 or 22, I have basically made the business is my life. I was working at Planet Pizza, obviously, when I was in high school. Then you graduate, and it was just on from then. Did a couple different things here and there. I used to umpire minor league baseball.
Oh, really?
In the summertime, I was leaving every summer to go
That's pretty sweet.
Down south and all over the place to do that. And then I realized that statistically, it's actually harder to become an umpire in the major leagues than it is to become a player, because there's way less of them.
I suppose, yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to let that go. I don't want to waste my 20s traveling around for
let the dream die.
Yeah, let the dream die. And then basically, since I was about 22, I have made it my life. I don't have any toys. I live in a condo. I don't have any, fun things. I basically have, again, for about 15 years, and about halfway through that, my brother came in with us, and we've kind of brought it in-house.
Okay.
We've purchased all the shareholders, the stock from all the different shareholders, the initial partners, and everything like that, the investors. Yeah. And it's just my dad, my brother, and me now in the businesses. So
when was the Tony intro into the business? When did you start taking a hand in Planet Pizza and Sports on Tap. Are you kind of working on both of them, or do you focus on one more than the other?
Right away, I was actually more in the pizza kitchen because I was 18, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
And then about my early to mid 20s, 23, 24, I think I got my first piece. I sold a house, and instead of, you could buy houses way back in the day a little bit easier than you can now.
They're not
I bought it for like
350K.
60 grand and then sold it and made a nice chunk. And I bought in my first stake of the bar.
Okay.
And then it's kind of, the rest is history. We just kind of slowly over the years, got the initial investors out and got them their money. And now it's just us three. But initially I was more so in the pizza kitchen. And to be honest with you, I probably still work just as much in the pizza kitchen or in Planet in general, just because, it's a little bit harder to find help down there. People, the help issue, it's not unique to us. It's all over the place. But yeah, my daily operations right now, my brother kind of handles the hiring, firing, scheduling, ordering, all that type of stuff, the day-to-day stuff at the restaurant. And I'm doing the same thing up in the bar.
Okay. So as far as Sports on Top and Sports on Tap,
yep.
What was the thought process for bringing that to mind? Why a sports bar? Was there a conversation in the beginning of why a sports bar?
That was before me. I was like 19 when it opened. And again, I think it was kind of what they knew. My whole family, my dad's big into sports guys. Not really into the bar scene. My dad's not a drinker. So it was kind of just like trying to fill a void. What are we going to do with the rest of this half of this building?
Yeah.
Bar and restaurant kind of goes together. And I think that was about all the thought that went into it.
So when you started in there and then you bought in and you had your share of the company, was it a little bit overwhelming at the beginning? What was that beginning stages like of, okay, now I have these extra responsibilities?
Yeah, it was super overwhelming. And the Tap is not, and Planet for that matter is not, we weren't in the situation we're in today. It's taken, years and years of grinding to make it, whatever it is right now. But for sure, it was, the times weren't always, the grass wasn't always green, the sky wasn't always blue. It was a lot. I mean, I took it over and we were in a little bit of a kind of a transition period. We weren't the new place anymore. We had opened up, we've been open for 4 or 5 years. People were and that's how the bar business works. It's kind of cyclical. People will find new places to go, every few years, a new place. So the place will be there, but then, it's kind of the trendy thing. It won't hit as much. We were in that weird spot where, we weren't very busy. We didn't know what to do. And so we started bringing in DJs and we started that whole deal.
Okay.
It's not really that complicated, really.
So it didn't start with DJs then?
No, we were nothing. We were like a happy hour bar initially. And it's way too big to be a happy hour bar. You can't pay your bills being a happy hour bar. And we tried to pivot to bands a little bit, but the upstairs really isn't set up all that well for bands. And other people were already doing bands. And then we just said, we just got to get some of our young friends in here with some energy. That's what really worked in my favor. I was just young enough where I could work every day, work in the pizza kitchen during the day, go up to the bar at night, and have that energy, bring in a bunch of buddies, some of which worked out, some of which didn't. It's not always the greatest idea to bring in your buddies. But that's what we did. Just give good service as best we can and create an atmosphere that people want to go to. And that's kind of what we did, way back in 2007, 2008, 2009. And we're kind of still doing it today.
So for the people that are starting businesses and they don't really know, this is one topic we really hit home on this podcast is, what does it look like in the beginning of a business's lifespan?
Well,
talk to me about, how hard it was to actually grow a business. What does that beginning stage look like getting it off the ground?
I can only really speak to, from the outside looking in, but I did have a, kind of a front row seat to that. And without going into too much detail, it's not easy. And I saw my parents, go through a bunch of stuff. My mom still works in Planet Pizza to this day. My dad's been retired for about 10 years. She still does like the front of the house stuff, the bookkeeping and things like that. I think we make jokes that we wanted her to stick around forever because we'd probably be broke without her. She keeps the pennies in the pocket a little bit more than me and my brother would like to. But it's not easy. And there's multiple ways to, be a business owner. And I'm in the camp that, that bought into an existing business.
Yeah.
And that came with its own trials and tribulations and whether people want you to be a business partner of theirs or not, or if you even have the opportunity, which is not that, common. But I saw being, my dad is the one that started Planet Pizza. I was like 11 or 12 when it started. Yeah. And then I was 19 when sports started. It takes guts, a lot of guts, an idea. You got to have an idea and you got to have the, I think it's like, I heard a quote. I don't remember who it was. It's like 5% idea and 95% follow through.
Execution.
You like everybody, so many people have good ideas. Like
everyone thinks they have the best ideas ever.
That's why I don't even like hanging out at the bar anymore. I can't really hang out there because everybody, including one of my best friends, they'll just be like, you know what you should do? You know what you should do? You know what you should do? And it's just like, I know what we should do. It's not that easy just to be able to do what everybody thinks you should do. Even if it is what you should do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the follow through, and that's kind of what how I try to like be a boss or be an owner or be any type of employer, is just kind of by leading from the front. And, I'm not going to tell anybody to do anything that they haven't seen me do 100 times, whether it's mopping the floor, cleaning the bathrooms, whatever, bussing tables. That's just kind of how we lead. I didn't have any schooling. I got into this right away. I went to college for a few days, figured out it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Had a pretty good opportunity to, join these businesses. But yeah, the idea, the guts to actually do it. I talk about my dad all the time. Like he's crazy to do all this. Like he's crazy. Yeah. I don't think like people say, the top is super successful and that's a good idea, but yes, it is, but it's also, on top of somebody else's risk.
Dad, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was, I don't think I think he was like 40, like maybe 10 years older than me when it all started, maybe like early 40s.
I think you got to be a little crazy to take an adventure like that, though.
You got to be crazy. And it's everything. It's, you got kids and it's, the money you got to borrow from the banks and the hours and you got to put into it. It is a little bit easier to maybe, go the safer route and go work for somebody else. But then you run the risk of, you don't control if you stay in that job or not. So
exactly,
there's risk and benefits and, to both routes.
It depends what risk you want to take.
Yeah.
As far as the business goes, so once it kind of started to pop a little bit, once you kind of found your guys' niche, your market, what were your emotions like thinking, okay, now we go? Did you have conversations like that at all?
Yeah, it was super, super gratifying and rewarding when, there's your bar's packed on the weekends. But there seems to always be something that brings you right back down.
Yeah.
Whether it's a negative review online or it's, something that happens in the bar, and whether a fight or an incident of any type of kind. Like, so we can, you're only as good as your, the day before, basically. We could have this stuff. If we don't stay on top of it, it can be not gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the ball can start rolling, I mean, it really can. Like that's why a lot of businesses, bars, restaurants fail. Because, you just don't stay on it. You have a little bit of success and then it's like, oh, cool. Let's relax a little bit. You relax. And that's happened to me. I've relaxed a little bit, taken a little bit more time at home. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's hitting the fan. You know what I mean?
And something starts to humble you.
Yeah. You got to get back into it and you got to tighten it up. We have staff meetings. We should have way more than we do, but it's like the same stuff we talk about every, whenever we have a meeting, 6 months or something like that. We should have them every quarter, but it's the same type of problem, same type of issues. And you just got to kind of, tighten up. But yeah, I mean, you can pat yourself on the back, you can, and sometimes you do, and sometimes other people do it for you, but there's always something that is like, that'll bring you right back down.
Yeah. So dealing in business then, the roller coaster, why do you think it's important to not get too high on your highs and not get too low on your lows?
Because like I said, if you get too high tomorrow, you'll have like the online reviews can break people. You know what I mean? Like that's just one example of it. But if you're not on top of your management, if you're not on top of your staff, if you're not on top of it, it'll the next day, the next week, the next month, next year. This is the long game. I mean, we're not, people make the joke because there's been crowds on the rooftop, but you have this thing paid off yet? Like not even close. You know what I mean? Like we have to do this for a lot of years, to see that true pay dirt, what I mean? That true reward. And then, same point can be said for not getting too low on yourself. You just got to wake up tomorrow and
put one foot in front of the other.
Exactly.
I always say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's pivot a little bit into sports on top now.
Sure.
So I don't know, how long has the Rooftop Bar been there?
Spring 2020.
Okay. So like I've been 21, probably I was just 21 when it started to open. So I didn't really experience when it wasn't around. Right. What did the process look like of the ideation process of let's build a rooftop bar?
So that goes way back. We were kids. I don't even know if I could say with certainty the exact like time, but I remember
Okay.
going up onto the roof. We always have to go up onto the roof of Planet Pizza Sports on Tap to change out like the HVAC filters and just do maintenance and whatever we need. And you go up there and you're like, wait a minute, this is sweet up here. And you wouldn't think it when you're driving into it or you're going into Planet or Sports or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't think there's any type of view. But it's really nice up there, obviously.
Yeah.
And we always said back in the day, oh, we should do a rooftop. And that seemed like the farthest thing that could ever happen. I mean, it was an idea that we threw around forever.
Yeah.
Shoot, 15 years before, we started construction, and legitimately up until maybe 2016, 2015, somewhere around there, it was a dream and it was never going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. Like, you got to sell a lot of Jack Cokes to make any type of money. You know what I mean? And even at our busiest, like you really have to be on top of it. And then, things kept going fairly well. And we just basically said, are we going to do this or are we not going to do this? I went to my dad's office. I remember it. And I said, we're equal partners in the bar.
Yeah.
But like with that, he has to be on board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not going to,
hey, I started construction on a rooftop bar, Dad.
I went to the bank and asked for a lot of money. He needs to be on board with the idea, obviously. And to his credit, he's a lot older. I think he's 70 now. He's probably not going to like that I said that, but
I'll bleep it.
he could have, there you go. Yeah, exactly. He could have easily said, nah, I don't want to, go back to the bank, and ask for more money. Like, this is supposed to be kind of where it's paying off a little bit for him. Yeah. And he said the competitor that he is, he's big time, competitive just as much as anybody. And he said, let's do it. And then we did. And it was at least a couple year process of figuring out what we needed to do as far as architecture is concerned, as far as, if we can even do it, the finance aspect of it.
Do you have to get permits or anything for that kind of thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's all sorts of stuff. And that's another thing that people ask me about all the time. They're like, oh, the city let you do this. I mean, like, yeah, the city let me do it. I mean, you go to any big city and there's rooftop bars, and it is, the railing is recessed a few feet from the, that was in the plans. And a lot of the permits and things like that comes from the company that actually built it. We hired out North Star Steel here in Minot. They take care of, the
all
architects
the permitting and everything.
They take care of all that stuff. I was just standing around. I'm not very handy. Duct tape, and I always joke, duct tape, zip ties, and staple guns is kind of how I fix things. So I built the rooftop, but I didn't at the same time. I would just stand around and watch these real tough guys, moving steel and stuff like that.
That's how we talked about that in the last podcast episode. It's like, I know how to work like a drill and a hammer and nail. Other than that, I'll just hire it out for other people.
You get better as you get older, but there's still guys that that's what they do.
They do the tough stuff.
I'd rather hire the professional.
Oh, exactly.
Try to screw it up.
So did you guys kind of see that as a need? Like, hey, we need this. We don't need it, but there is a need for a rooftop bar in Minot. It's kind of a unique experience. What is the importance of having unique experiences for the consumer?
Yeah, that's everything. I remember having, conversations with old partners or with my brother, my dad. In our business, it's kind of you have to have stuff that is fun. You have to have stuff that's cool. You have to have stuff that people, it's weird. Like, you can say, hey, we want to do this. And like, do you want to do that because you think it's cool or you think it's
trendy? Or do other people?
Or no, I think just because I also think it's cool doesn't mean it's not a good idea, But the main deal is that a lot of times people from out of town would come in here, people from the base, people from anywhere else. They'd be like, you guys get busier in the summertime? I said, no, we get so slow in the summertime. And it's funny, like people your age or people even a little bit older, they don't realize, even my employees, none of my employees, we have like 2 that have been there for, more than 5 years.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers how bad it was. The summer was brutal. Like it was
just people wouldn't come in.
It was depressing coming to work in the summertime. And outside of maybe 1 or 2 places that had some sort of kind of half-ass patio or something like that. Yep. It was brutal. There's no windows in there. People would rather be in their garages, in their backyards. It is pretty dark in the back DJ. Yeah, area. There's no windows, there's no anything. And it was brutal. And that was like the main reason why we're like, we got to do something. We have to do something. And, and knowing that we had the nice views up top, that was the main reason. It was, the summers before the rooftop, like people can't even, I don't even remember how bad it was. And then I look back at the numbers and I'm like, how did we survive? Because the wintertime, you have, it's weather's bad. Yeah. You have all the sports going on.
Football season,
pool and dart leagues. You have people have to go to the bar or some sort of bar restaurant in the wintertime. There's nothing else to do.
Especially in North Dakota.
Exactly. And the seasonality, I've talked about this with a few people, of the rooftop, that's the reason why people didn't invest in any outdoor spaces. But it's also, I think, the reason why it works, at least for us. I kind of compare it to golf. I like to golf.
Yep.
In the spring, I'm jonesing to get out there.
Yep.
But then by fall, I'm like, all right,
I'm done.
It's football season.
Yeah.
Let's do something else. And it's kind of like the rooftop. People go up there. They're jonesing to get up there in the spring. And then they, probably come out to the bar and our bar more often per week than they would normally. And then by fall, it's like, all right, let's move on to something else. And then by the next spring, at least so far, they want to do it again. So I think the seasonality, it obviously works against you because you can only be open for, 4 months or whatever, 5 months. But I think it actually works out.
Okay. So pivoting a little bit to your staff now.
Yeah.
You guys obviously have a decent sized staff. You got bartenders, servers, security, all that. How do you create an environment on the day to day where people want to come work and they enjoy working there every day?
Well, I mean, the first and obvious answer that comes to my mind is they have to make money. Nobody's going to go work for anybody and do anything without, getting paid what they think that is worth their time. And the bar with being, the tip structure and, you can kind of make a pretty good amount of money in a shorter amount of time. You know what I mean? Like even in the summertime, sure, it's a longer days and we're open all day and people do come in throughout the afternoon and things like that, which also was part of the reason why, instead of just being a place where people end their night, the rooftop, people are up there, throughout the day if it's nice out. But for the most part, you can make cash in your pocket. It's not just a paycheck. And that's number one. But number two is, having good management, wanting people around that people want to be around, or having people around that people want to be around. And like I said before, having yourself, and this is not, you go to Applebee's, the owner of Applebee's isn't there all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not Applebee's. We're a mom and pop shop. We're trying to start, we're one of one here. So, I don't think every owner of every business has to be there. That's obviously not true, right? Yeah. It doesn't, I wish I know some other people that own businesses that are at the lake and they're doing other fun stuff. And that's just not kind of where we're at least right now. And it's not really how I've ever done it. It seems to really help morale when you're there as much as you can be.
Because I've seen you there with them. I've talked to you there and I'm like, oh, what's up? But does that change when, the staff kind of knows you're there with them, like you're on their team? You're on their side?
I think so. I think they all like it. I would like it. You know what I mean? Like I like it when my brother's in the pizza kitchen with me and we're getting just dominated on a Saturday and there's 20 birthday parties. And it's like, it's way more fun when my brother's there with me than me there by myself. You know what I mean? So I think for sure that helps. And it just sets a good example. You know what I mean? Like, and I like to do it. You know what I mean? It's one thing to, if I was there and I was hating my life, but it could be a lot worse. I don't think I could sit in front of a desk and be a pencil pusher for sure.
Ooh, no, you need some type of, I always say you need some type of human interaction in business. Yeah. And that's why maybe, the introverted people don't, they'd rather sit at their desk and do their thing. But as far as marketing strategies go for Planet and for sports, what are some things was there anything that you guys tried that did not work? Where you're like, oof, you kind of had to roll it back where you're like, we had that idea, but then it didn't work.
I think everything has not worked in a certain way. We're kind of in a kind of a unique spot as far as marketing. We don't do a whole lot of marketing. We got the big billboard that you can see when you're on top. We do Facebook once or twice a week, Facebook and Instagram, and that's really kind of changed the landscape. I used to have salespeople from the paper, from the radio, from the TV coming into the bar trying to sell you into Planet as well, trying to sell you like every week on something. Yeah. And that was pretty expensive actually back in the day because it was the only game in town, really, that type of marketing, advertising. But now it's obviously pivoted to the smartphone in everybody's pocket. So really outside of that one billboard and then the social media aspect of it, we kind of focus on, we get hit up for donations or, just kind of being part of the community. You know what I mean? We don't say no a whole heck of a lot. We try not to. There's a limit obviously to what we can do. We kind of have a number that we usually hit every year. But yeah, being involved in the community, whether it's the schools, we bring, as far as Planet's concerned, we bring pizzas. We do pizzas at like almost all the concessions now that's came and gone. Just trying to stay out there, whether, if you're eating a slice of pizza at the Sabre Dogs game or at the Minot High game and it's Planet Pizza, that's a nice little way of keeping it in the back of people's minds that we're not just Chuck E. Cheese. You know what I mean? We have good pizza, better than I think a lot of people would think that we do.
At taco pizza though.
At taco pizza. Some people from out of town, like we get such an out of town crowd at the bar, which we really lean into and we really like.
Yep.
They're like, what is that? People that aren't from like the Midwest have never heard of taco pizza. Ooh. And it's like, I think it's our top 3 pizza.
It's probably my favorite pizza in my for sure.
Appreciate that.
Hey,
you didn't have Sammy's guy in here earlier, did you?
No, I didn't. He's next week. Sammy's guy's next week.
I like all pizzas. I think, I order Domino's and stuff. Pizza.
Oh,
if you screw pizza up, you kind of should
find something. You should get out of the pizza industry.
Yeah, exactly.
So as far as how do you go about building offers for the bar side? So I know you guys have like your Thursday night well drinks. You have pitchers. How do you go about getting people in the door with those?
It's difficult. It's difficult to get people to come in the doors all across the board. Mm-hmm. Building a rooftop, that's a huge financial commitment. It's a huge risk. That's, one of the deals that I consider that kind of a marketing, not scheme.
Kind of sells itself.
It kind of sells itself doing stuff like that. I'm more about providing atmosphere. We try not to run specials on the weekends because we're trying to say, hey, we have an atmosphere here. We're spending money on entertainment. We're spending money on security. We're spending money on having the proper amount of staff. I'm constantly reinvesting into the bar, whether it's more POS stations, better. People don't really know this because the inside bars, most of the time it's closed during the summertime, except for on the weekends, but we completely gutted and redid the inside of the bar.
Oh, really?
Last summer, and it was strictly for being able to get more drinks out faster. Okay. So that type of stuff is really kind of what we focus on. Sure. During the week, we try to, it's expendable income. People don't have to go to the bar. You can go get a 12 pack and go home for the weekend and be cool. You don't have to drink at all. You don't have to go to Planet Pizza. You can cook at home. We're very thankful for every single person. And that's kind of what we try to, push onto our staff that, these people don't need to be here. Nobody needs to be here. And we're thankful that you're here because, it's paying everybody's bills. It's keep putting food on all of our tables. But yeah, during the week, we try to do some things. I constantly, search in the internet for what's new and what's hot, what people are doing, what people aren't doing, not necessarily in town. You don't want to be doing something that somebody else is doing down the street, but looking at places that you've been in, whether it's Minneapolis and Denver, or Vegas, whatever, seeing what's hitting and trying to see what could work for us. But yeah, we try to create as much atmosphere and something that people can, I don't want to say spend their money or, not giving stuff away at a discount. Because we're trying to provide some sort of atmosphere for people. So
as far as the atmosphere goes, then you're one of the few bars in town that has somewhat of a DJ dance floor type thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be a couple where there's like, I know the DAC has karaoke and that kind of stuff, but why do you think that's important that people get to have that experience? And what is the importance of having an atmosphere like that? Because that's something, maybe the Rockin' Horse. Do they still have?
I don't know.
Dancing
I haven't been out there in a while.
I've been like a year ago. I was maybe out there, but
yeah. Usually the Rockin' Horse is you hit it up during the fair, maybe or something like that. I mean, it's still around and people still go there, obviously. So there's something for everybody. There's a different spot for everybody, and not everybody comes and enjoys the whole nightclub scene that we kind of created or provide. But I do think that it's there's always there's a bachelorette party, there's a birthday party. People want to go out and have a good time and be able to do something. There's a few different places that, have bands and do that scene. And like I said before, it just doesn't really set up for that. And and when we started bringing DJs in, there was nobody else doing it. It creates its own set of not problems, but issues and things that you have to solve and you have to stay on top of. People, you see concerts and festivals and all over the place. Young people, they want to go out on Friday and Saturday night and get down a little bit.
And I think that's, I think that's the thing where people are kind of like, you go to, like you said, like Vegas, Minneapolis, all these places, they have almost like nightclubs, like clubs you can go to.
For sure.
Whereas that was kind of lacking here in Minot, but down to 50,000 people, who wants to club?
Yeah. I mean, there's not that many. And it's funny if you really break down the numbers of like, all right, well, how many out of that 50,000 is 18 and younger? How many of that 50,000 is 65 and older?
Yeah.
How many of that 50,000 is like me with wife and a kid who's not really out clubbing anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really, there's not that many people, but
Small niche.
if there was 5 other places doing exactly what we were doing, there would probably be some more issues.
Yeah.
And not just for us, it would be harder for all of those places to get it. That's probably why, there's been places that have tried to do what we're doing and they're not doing it anymore. Or they're not around anymore. So yeah, it is a niche, however you say that word, kind of a thing that we're doing, but, we've been doing it and we know what we're doing. We've had lots of failures and lots of things that have happened that made us pivot, and do things a little bit differently. But yeah, it's, people want to go out, and especially the young people, they want to go out and have a good time on the weekends. And we're one of the spots that people like to do that at.
Yeah. Which is good. Couple more questions here for you.
Yeah.
What is your mount? So people this is a question we asked all of our guests. For the people that are just starting business, it doesn't have to be bar specific or, restaurant specific. What would be your Mount Rushmore of business advice for people that are like, what should I know before I go into this? 4 pieces of advice.
One that pops right into my head is that you got to know that you don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
You got to learn, and you got to learn. I'm still learning. There's so much stuff. I've been doing this since I was 23. I think basically I'm 36 now, and I'm still learning. It's crazy, and I don't want to go on too big of a rant, but there's too much, to be honest with you. Like, there's just the red tape and the regulations and from the taxes to it's crazy. And you got to just never stop learning, and you got to not think that you got it all figured out, because you probably don't. It's crazy the amount of stuff that is required of people that are in business for themselves. Especially if they're kind of taking it all on and doing it, and they don't have like a Mary, like my mom in the front. But that's one that you got to keep learning, that there's going to be stuff that you're going to figure out 10 years into it that you didn't know. It's nuts. And then the other thing, like I kind of said earlier, like it's not going to work in a year or two. I feel like there's some sort of energy or attitude lately with the workforce, that is kind of short-sighted, I guess I would say, that it seems like people don't want to.
They think it's going to come fast.
They think it's going to come fast. It can. You can get lucky on the stock market or with some crypto or something like that. You can do that. It's happened, but the chances are super small. I think if you want to be successful in a business, especially a bar, or restaurant, or any type of business, that it's not going to work. You're not going to be sitting at home counting your money in 5 years, maybe not even 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, it is the long game. And if you're not prepared to, put in the years, it's years. Then you're probably not going to get to where you think you want to be, or where you think you deserve to be, or whatever. I think that there's just some things, whether it's social media or, people can see everybody that's, somebody's on a yacht, and, like,
why am I not there?
Yeah.
There's
why
too
am I
much
not
comparison,
there? Like, they want to, yeah, I think that social media is great, and there's probably more good than bad, but I think there's something that's going on right now that kind of puts the wrong idea in some people's head. It's not easy. And I'm still, I'm still at work every single day. I don't know if there's been a day, maybe a holiday here or there, that if I came to work, whether it was every single day, if I'm in Minot, I have been at work, whether it's 15 minutes or whether it's 12 hours. So, I don't know if I have too much more than that, as far as, like I said, I didn't go to school for any of this stuff. I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm figuring it out every day.
And maybe that's something that people can take from this, is that you don't have to go to school for this. I didn't go to school for my video stuff. And that's not the only option for people. For sure. People should know that, you can still figure it out on your own if you have to. It might take you a little bit more work, but that's all right. What is your North Star? Do you have any more business plans, ideas that you're coming out with, or what do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself 5, 10, 15 years down the road?
It's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. I think that it's funny. Like, everybody has these ideas what they want to do, and then they do them, and then it's like, okay, what's the next thing? Like, the minute the rooftop opened, I was like, all right, this is cool. It's cool. Yeah. I'm a little less stressed about making it through the summer now. And then it's like I said, I don't even like hanging out up there anymore, because it's just like, for a million different reasons. Yeah. It's just awkward and weird and whatever. So yeah, it's on to the next thing. We got we're gonna try to, basically, as far as our building is concerned, the bar got remodeled a couple years before the rooftop was built. We kind of have an event center that we're working on called 221. It's in between Planet Pizza and Sports on Tap. We got a bunch of stuff going on there in the fall. I got to get it out there for people to see more. And then the laser tag area of Planet Pizza is kind of been remodeled, and now we got some plans started to remodel the entire Planet side of it. That's like the last thing that hasn't been touched. It is kind of exciting. It's kind of lame and boring and whatever, but for us, it's pretty exciting. It's another big deal. It's another big investment. But as far as in the building, that's kind of the next step for us. But yeah, it's funny. Like, what is the next thing? I'm not sure.
You never know until it happens.
I think personally, I'm gonna have some more kids, hopefully, and then just try to just tighten up all these businesses and make them hum a little bit better than they are. And we thought about, we've talked about Planet Pizza Bismarck or something like that in the past, but with the worker shortage and things like that, things kind of got to cool out before we're really ready to explore that option. But you never know, that might be coming down the pipe here in the next few years. Well,
that's exciting stuff. I'm excited to see it. But yeah, I mean, especially in today's day and age, you kind of got to feel it out how things are going to go with the workers and how people are now reacting to post-COVID life, I say.
Right.
But Tony, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It was a good conversation.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That was episode 17 of the Minot Business Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you liked it, please leave a rating, review, and we will see you guys next week for episode 18.